as an immigrant founder, are there any different challenges to raise money?
The business problem I'm trying to solve is a bit tricky. So we're based in the UK and we have India-based operations. I was like, I can fundraise from anyone in the US, UK, or India. So I pitched to VCs in all three countries, but I got no's for very different reasons. In the UK, I had this challenge of like having to explain to VCs like just South Asian family dynamics. So I'd have to spend 20 minutes describing the problem before I could even talk about the business and the traction. At the end of the day, people resonate with people who are like them. So even if you're a founder and the VC looks different to you, you might not have the same connection as a VC who looks the same as you or has a similar background to yourself.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Tech Talks with TFN. With me, that is Akansha Dimri, the founder and editor-in-chief of Tech Funding News. Today we have a very special guest with us who is a man of experience and basically a founder who got seed funding in 7 weeks. Yes, I'm talking about Anthony Jacobs, who's the CEO and founder of Nila Cares. So, hi Anthony, how are you and how are you doing today?
Good, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Lovely. So I think you have some amazing experience over there. You have been from, Botswana, Sri Lankan roots, and then you have Indian experience as well, and then there is a New York connection, and then there is a London startup. So I think in this episode, we are going to explore everything about Nila Care and you, and everything about how did you get the funding. So start with your background first. How did it all start?
So I was based in Canada for about 5 or 6 years. That's where I started my tech career. Worked at various different startups in marketplaces and in Fintech. And the last startup I was at was called Sane. It was in the Fintech remittance space.
Where was that from?
So
Canada?
they're based in London. It's an American company, but most of the team is based in London. I was working remotely from Canada and just flying into New York and London quite frequently because my team was distributed. And my job was basically growth for South Asia when I started, and that was basically finding ways of acquiring Indian people, Pakistani people, Bangladeshi people, living in America, living in the UAE, living in the UK to use this app to send money back to their home country. And in that 2-year journey, I kind of grew a bit, and then I ended up taking over the P&L for East Africa, doing Kenya as well. And I got the startup bug. I was always had this in me. I co-founded a startup in the past that failed, but when I was at Send, it was such a hyper-growth rocket ship.
This is which year?
This is about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it was the first time I worked at a place where it's like, okay, like things are growing very quickly. It's probably going to be like, a Revolut one day. And that's when I started to notice that, a lot of money was being sent back to these home countries of people, but the noisy customers or the people that always complained whenever there was a delay in a transaction was people sending money for healthcare. So if people were sending money for school or sending money for property, if the transaction took like 3 hours instead of 30 seconds, like no one cared. But if people were sending money to pay for healthcare for their family and there was a delay, they would go on the website, on Google reviews, such a bad company. The
Payoneer.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember using Payoneer for because when I started TFN and I had a lot of people from India as well.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So
but I switched to Wise.
Yeah, I mean everyone uses Wise or Remitly now, but that's when I was like, okay, well, all these companies have come up and made it very easy to send money, but healthcare is still a problem. You still send money to a cousin, family member, neighbor who then pays locally and finds care. And that's where I started thinking about elder care.
Yes, I think I found that issue during COVID when our parents back home, I'm also from India, so they had COVID and it was very difficult to arrange oxygen cylinders at that time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened with my parents as well. Is like I was in Canada lockdown, my sister was here in the UK lockdown, and we were trying to get them a vaccine. And if you remember at the time, there was like AstraZeneca, only 60% success rate, and then you had Moderna, Pfizer. So we're like, no, we're going to get the premium vaccine for our parents. But trying to coordinate this from abroad was like a challenge. And, in COVID, speaking to any immigrant friend, whether they were Nigerian, Indian, Bangladeshi, all were having these conversations. And that's kind of when I was like, okay, there's a problem here. There's a business here that we can build, and that's where the idea for Nila kind of started.
So you're a pandemic startup founder.
Pandemic startup founder, but only executed on it last year when, things were stable and I had a bit of a cushion.
That's amazing. So what is Nila Care, and how and what kind of problems is your company solving?
Yeah, so Nila, what we do is we help immigrants living abroad, so in the US, the UK, to provide care for their aging parents back home. And we started with the Indian diaspora, so the NRI living abroad gets a subscription from us. For that, they get matched with a nurse on the ground in India. So let's say parents live in Bombay or in Delhi, they'll get matched with a nurse. And this is a nurse that we've recruited, we've trained them, we've done the background checks, we've checked that they don't have any credit issues. And then we make them do a 20-hour geriatric training. And then this nurse is your point of contact, and they will go and check in on the parent, take them to medical appointments. If there's any prescriptions, they'll do it. And in India and most of these countries, it's very manual. You have to go wait in line, you have to do some paperwork. This nurse does all of that, so your parents don't have to deal with the admin. And then you pay for it directly, so your parents are not dealing with payments on the ground.
Got it. So when you say there's a monthly subscription,
Yep.
Is it, how do you charge it? Is it monthly? Are there annual options as well? How does it work?
Yeah, so there's monthly and annual. I'd say 90% of customers pay annually because they just want to lock in the care and not.
You must be giving some offers.
Yeah. So it ends up being cheaper if you pay for an annual plan, and that's the main reason people do it. But the subscriptions range depending on how much care you need. So if the parents are much older, you tend to go for the more expensive plan where there's lots of visits. But if you're just buying it for peace of mind, then you'd go for the basic option, which is just one visit a month. It's more for well-being and just checking in on how they're doing.
And do you want to tell how much does it cost?
Yeah, so it ranges anywhere from $100 all the way up to $300 per month. And usually if you pay for the full year, you get about 20% off.
Oh, great. And you get a nurse for that.
Yeah, you get a nurse.
And the nurse is going to visit how many times?
So depending on the plan, either once a month or 4 times a month and anywhere in between.
And okay, so now you don't have to send money, but actually the nurse is going to take care of all the healthcare.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what I understand. And how do you choose these nurses? Is there a team sitting in India? India is your main market, is what I understand.
Yeah, so
how do you screen them?
Yeah, so the challenge is because there's no regulation at the moment, so this quality is all over the place, and that's what people have had a challenge with. So we're trying to be that kind of gold standard. So we put up job postings in each city for the nurse with our criteria, which is they have to have 5 years of experience. And then when we interview them, we try to test for empathy. Do you like working with old people? Are you comfortable? If sometimes elderly people can be a bit rude, a bit grumpy, but you can't react to them. So we try to test for that. We do scenario-based interviews, and then we work with a third party to do a police clearance check on them, check if they have a good credit, but also we verify that the degree is actually real and it came from the right university they say it is, because a lot of times in these professions, people have fake diplomas and they try and get jobs that way. So we screen all of that, and then only after all of that is passed and they pass the scenario-based training, they do a 20-hour training program that we developed ourselves. So it's teaching them things like safeguarding, how to detect signs of abuse, even if they don't tell you.
Okay, you're basically managing a whole operation side as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many cities are you in India?
So we're in about 10 cities, mainly the tier 1s and some tier 2 cities like Pune and Coimbatore.
And there's a lot of demand?
There is a lot of demand.
How is the market from this side? Because I understand you're targeting the NRIs.
Yeah.
who have great income.
Yeah,
Is what
exactly.
I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
So how's the market space in that segment?
Yeah, so that's the main reason we started with NRIs, the highest income earning ethnic group in America. There's a cultural tie to it. The demand is there. I think the problem we've faced is like there's still a bit of stigma and education. So some people are like, why are you outsourcing the care for your parent? Like, you should go and care for your parents. So there's like that kind of stigma. So we try to like educate.
If I can, I will.
Exactly, right? Because it's $100. If you're in New York, you'll spend $100.
Indian parents love fancy.
Exactly. So it's a premium. It's not a cheap service. So
Yeah.
That's what we found, and like people really, really enjoy it. They appreciate it, and it's very word of mouth driven. So a lot of people that become customers tell their friends who are also abroad about it, and they refer us to them.
So you have a lot of market in US, is what I understand.
Yeah. So most of our, I think 70% of our customers are American. The rest are like UK and like some customers from like other NRI countries like Australia, Singapore. But
what about Europe?
We don't actually have anyone from Europe.
Wow.
I think UK, yeah, but not Europe yet.
Is it because people don't know Nila Care, or is
Yeah.
it because the market of white collar salaries is very less?
I think it's a bit of both. Maybe white collar salaries low, but also we're not marketing to these folks. Like right now, our efforts been purely US and UK based for marketing efforts.
Interesting. So how is your expansion plan? Do you want to expand in Europe, or do you think that expanding in US, Bay Area, and the East Coast?
I think for us, the US is still the most attractive place just because there's a higher number of NRIs. I think there's about 5 million.
Another market research. Is it East Coast or West Coast?
We are getting more from the West Coast. So I think it might just be because we're tech, and my personal network and a lot of the team's network is more tech. So the typical profile of our customer is senior engineer, big tech, California, or investment banker in New York are the two big customer demographics that we're seeing at Nila.
And how is it in London and UK? Is it London or is it UK?
I would say it's London, but within 2-hour radius, and it's a mix. But it's all like white collar. Like I think most of our customers are all white collar, highly educated, very successful, working in high paying jobs.
Okay, that is very interesting. I think this brings me to another question: is the initial part of your customers, and how did you get your first few customers?
Yeah, so the first few customers, it was very MVP, very startup. So we're a tech company, but at the time we had no engineers on the team. I'm not a technical person. I'm a business founder, and all I did was speak to, I think it was 200 or 300 NRIs living in the UK and the US just to understand their problem. And when we figured out the idea was this nurse on the ground, I just kept asking people would you be interested when we go live? And we had about 10, 15 people who were interested. And then another thing we did is because India is such a big and vast country, if you have 10 people who are interested in London, someone's in Bombay, someone's in Bangalore, someone's in a village. So we had this challenge. So we wanted to launch in Mumbai. So we went to the Marathi Mandal in London.
Oh, interesting.
And literally just stood there and gave out flyers. And I think one of the events, we just went with a banner and gave out some free goodies and just spoke to people. And we managed to get about 3 or 4 families who were like, oh, we'd love to test out the service in Mumbai. So we said, we want you to pay. We didn't have Stripe or anything. So they just did a wire transfer. We told them they'll do 20% off if they pay for the year. So we had about, I think, $4,000 or $5,000 that was paid up front. And then I told my head of operations in India, we need to find a nurse in Mumbai. And then we found a nurse, we recruited her, we asked her to join immediately. And then we told these customers onboarding takes 3 weeks. And then we were just drip feeding them more and more information while we were recruiting and training and getting everything running. And then that's kind of how we started. And we just put everyone in a WhatsApp group. So nurse with each family in a WhatsApp group. And that was the initial version of the product.
No that app, must be wild.
And I think the first 30 or 40 customers was all me in a WhatsApp group with the nurse in India and the family here.
Amazing. That must be wild, as I can imagine. Did you have healthcare experience before, or was it only fintech?
It was only fintech, startup, very growth go-to-market. No like healthcare experience, and it just came from like lived experience. But then the team I recruited on the ground in India was from the HealthTech side in India.
So how did you get into that, network of health tech and getting the nurses?
It was a lot of aggressive cold outreach on LinkedIn to basically went and looked at all the health tech companies and just DM'd all the people that had interesting operations profiles and just basically pitched them what we were trying to build at Nila. And then we found like really good candidates, and then we got them on as our lead operations folks, and then they managed like recruiting the nurses for us.
How big team you did that?
When we started, it was just me and one person in India. And then over time, we've grown, and now we're about 11 people distributed between London, India, and one in New York.
How many hours were you working back then?
It's hard to say. I think as a founder, you finish the day, but then you're still doing research or like Googling stuff at night and reading and responding to emails. So I'd say, yeah, until I went to bed, wake up, it was all Nila.
Oh my God. And how do you manage your personal and professional life at that time?
At that time, it was quite hard, but I think in the early stage, you kind of decide that you're just going to double down on this, and then everything else will slowly become part of your life again. But for this like short 6 to 12 month period until we validate the business, you're like pedal to the metal. You tell people I'm not going to be as available. And most people understand. And then now it's a little bit better because you have a bit of a business and you can manage your time and you have the team around.
Did you always wanted to become a founder?
Yeah, I think because this is my second startup. First one was a fail, learned a lot from it. But I'm a very bad employee. I even tell my managers every time I've had a job that I'm like, I don't like being told what to do. Give me high level direction and then let me run with it. The moment managers are telling me and giving me direction, I usually get bored, frustrated, or I quit. So I think I'm better suited as a founder.
So your ideas hit the managers.
Yeah, exactly.
I can resonate to that. What was your first startup before this?
It was early COVID baby. So in the first
You were a pandemic startup. See,
so exactly.
I recognized.
So like exactly, I think 6 weeks into COVID, we went from being in the office to being fully remote. And I felt like my manager at the time didn't know how to be a remote manager. And was like constantly checking in, like messaging, are you working? Because remote work wasn't a thing back then. So me and two friends from different startups, we built a bot on Slack and Microsoft Teams that helped managers to run one-on-one meetings. It was basically what ChatGPT is now, but we were trying to build it then and we didn't have the skill set to do it. But we did an MVP, we got a bunch of traction, but then 6 months into COVID, when people became accustomed to remote work, it like kind of died out and we weren't able to raise a round.
Oh, so it involved someone else as well.
Yeah, exactly. So all the mistakes you can make as a founder, from trying to fundraise without having traction, building with friends who had overlapping skill sets instead of like building a solid co-founding team, made all of those.
I think it's also about mistakes, and then it's about which idea you are really passionate about.
Yeah, exactly.
So that also is
that made a difference because we were trying to build in an HR space. None of the three co-founders had ever worked an HR job. So it was the founder market fit wasn't there. And then we were friends who had similar skill sets. So that was also not there. Whereas with Nila, founder market fit's there. It's a problem I personally experience. And then with team, the reason I ended up being a solo founder was I was very intentional. Like, unless this person brings value to the business as a co-founder, it's not going to happen. And I was able to like still move the business forward without that like co-founder.
So that's all the story about origination and the product and the expansion. But as an editor-in-chief of Tech Funding News, it's very important that we explore. Yep. I mean, the part where you got seed funding in like 7 weeks, what's that story?
Yeah, so we were raising a pre-seed round, and like most founders, they raise when they're not ready, and we were in a place where we had revenue. We didn't really have much tech, but we had revenue, we had demand. So when we went out to raise, it was a very targeted fundraise. So I think in a space of the first 4 weeks, only pitched like 20 to 30 funds. Like there were very select funds that we knew would resonate with the idea. So we were able to get enough momentum in that period, and a few earlier stage funds on an ASA like wrote some checks, and that helped us get Local Globe, our lead investor, to lead the round like very quickly. So I think even with Local Globe, first meeting to term sheet was only 10 days. So
that was all in London.
Yeah, that was all in London. So
and how did you meet them?
It was a lot of warm introductions, as it is in fundraising. So I think I had like 3 or 4 champion founder friends who believed in me, believed in the business, that basically made all the intros for me, and they made those intros in like a very short space of time. So I was able to in a day I would have like 3 or 4 back-to-back pitches. So it was able to create that momentum with the investors as well.
And these founder friends were immigrant founders?
Yeah, they're all immigrant founders, same challenges as me. So yeah, that's I think one of the reasons why it worked as well, because they resonated with the problem. They wanted me to solve the problem for them, so they wanted to help.
I just feel there is a lot of classifications in also immigrant founders when it comes to UK.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that so much in the Valley. Like I have a bit of Valley experience. So on the West Coast, I've not seen, but over here, it's like if you're British and Asian, South Asian as well, then you have a different classified group.
Yeah.
And then if you are an immigrant, total outsider, then you have a different group. Did you experience something like that as well?
Not so much. I think I've always been an immigrant my whole life, because I've moved to so many different countries. So I tend to gravitate towards that immigrant outside. I've always been the outsider. So I think even when I came to London, because I moved to London for Nila, so I didn't have a personal network or friends either. So in addition to making professional networks, I had to make friends as well. And it just so happens a lot of it overlapped. So now all my friends work in tech in some capacity, whereas previously I had friends in different industries, whereas now in London, 100% of my friends work in tech, either on the investment side or on the founder side.
I think it's not about London also, it's about being a founder.
Yeah.
Because you're always working. So you also have a Founders Factory connection.
Yep, I do. So I incubated and built the business with Founders Factory. So what happened was, when I was kind of exploring this idea while I was still at a full-time job, I got introduced to Founders Factory through one of their portfolio founders, because they were exploring the remittance space, and they just wanted to pick my brain on this idea that they had in remittance and health insurance. And we were chatting for a bit, and I started to get excited by what they were trying to solve. They got excited by me potentially working with them. And then after having conversations, I kind of came in and said, I don't think insurance is going to be something that resonates. I think people just want a caregiver. And then we started to collab, and they were like, if you'll move to London and come work with us in the office, we'll give you an initial check. And I think this happened in November, a year and a half ago. And by January 6th, I was already in London. I booked a flight, left my apartment in Canada, came and stayed at a friend's and my sister's house. And then, for 3 months, just brainstormed, incubated the idea with Founders Factory before going out and building it myself.
Where were you living in Canada?
I was in Montreal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's very different.
Very different city, very small, very French as well.
So any lessons for founders for extracting these kind of partnerships from Founders Factory or Local Globe for that matter? You have some really nice name behind.
Yeah, I think for founders, they should just build their business as far as they can before speaking to these people. A lot of these networks will come to you when you have traction. So a lot of founders make the mistake of, I have an idea, I want to build this, but I need to go raise $1 million to build it. I think founders should try and get something up and running as quickly as possible. It doesn't have to be fancy. Most early stage investors don't care about a polished product. They just want to know that you've spoken to 100 people, you have 5 people ready to pay for something that might exist. And once you do that, it shows these people that you've done the work and that you are serious about solving a problem, and they will naturally buy into your vision. And you want to be solving a problem that makes sense to you. So like if you're trying to solve, like, if I went and tried to build a company in like deep tech, no one's going to speak to me. I have zero experience. I have no founder market fit. I don't have a PhD. I don't understand this. But I think that's what founders should do, is just keep building and go as far as they possibly can without these investors. And that will naturally just bring them to you.
That's a great insight. And you have got funding in the most difficult climate in UK and Europe right now.
Yeah.
And you got funding from investors over here.
Yeah.
So 2.5 million from
it was like
Globe,
2.4 million US dollars.
2.4 million, and from Local Globe.
Yeah, they led the round, and then we had some family offices and angels join the round as well.
And there was Revolut also involved.
It was angel investors from Revolut. Yeah.
So how did you do that? And what's the story over there?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the angels were people I met. They were founders themselves. So I was kind of just asking them for advice. I'm like, how do I fundraise? Like, how do I stack my meetings? I was asking them about hiring. So I was never asking them for money. I was just asking them for advice. But then over, this is me asking them questions like over a 6-12 month period before fundraising. And when I told them I was fundraising, everyone was kind of like, can we write a small check? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, they were already very helpful. So those angels, like, and I think they're still the most valuable people on my cap table, is they wrote a small check, but once an angel that's a founder writes a check for you, it opens up their entire network to you. So you have 3-4 angels, they're gonna have like 50 VCs that they know personally, that they've built relationships. So that's kind of what happened with me, is like these angels opened up their doors to me. And that's how we got like the pre-seed round closed.
Was there a moment where a lot of VCs were also coming to you and saying that we want to invest, give us a deck?
Yeah, so this happened the moment. So with fundraising, it's very funny. It's like when you're trying to get a term sheet, you're the one that's desperate and the VCs hold all the power. The moment you get one term sheet, and if that term sheet is from a big, credible, reputed investor, everyone's kind of like, oh, wait, why are they investing in this guy? Like, what did we miss or what didn't we see? So they start saying, hey, is the allocation? And they start reaching out to you. So this happened to us. So as soon as we got the term sheet, all the people that were kind of ghosting me, all of a sudden, they changed their mind and they wanted to join the round. But we ended up picking the investors who built conviction on their own. So anyone that was like, oh, now we're interested, we didn't let them join the round.
So are you planning to raise more funding from different investors who are coming to you now?
I mean, we're taking coffee chats, but I think until 2027, we have enough runway and we just want to keep building and growing. And January 2027 is probably when we'll go back out to raise another round.
But how much investment would a company like Nila Cares need to grow tenfold?
This was our pre-seed round. It was already larger than most pre-seed rounds for 2.4. I think the next round would be a big seed round, which would probably be around 8 to 9 million US dollars. It depends on the business, but for us, we think it's a very big market, elder care, and it's a market that founders aren't building in and investors aren't really investing in, but they're starting to see that there's something there. So I think for us to like capitalize on that, you need to raise enough money to grow as quickly as possible.
How do you, as a founder, remain motivated during that period of time? And what are the activities? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Is it a lot of events and network or dinners that you have to do? What should you keep doing to show the resilience over there?
Yeah, so I think you should be networking regardless, like outside of the fundraise. The last thing you want is to try and get the introductions during your fundraise. You want to already have them lined up months beforehand. And that's going to events. You might meet 2 or 3 interesting people or VCs at an event and just add them to an update email that you send out every quarter that's curated for potential investors. So you just high level, nothing too sensitive, so they remember who you are. So I think when we went out to raise, there was already 150 investors on my mailing list. And these were 150 people that I had coffee chats with or I had met in an event that I just added them to this list. And then when it was time to raise, I just sent a blast email being, we're raising, round is open, who wants to have a chat with a Calendly link? And then just within that 150, I'd say like 30% would have booked a call in. And I didn't have to pitch. They already knew me, they already knew the business, they had seen at least a couple of months of updates. So it was more like related. It ends up being relationship driven, which is what you want as a founder.
I need to see that list. Okay, it would be nice.
Yeah, for sure.
And also as an immigrant founder, are there any different challenges to raise money in UK or US?
I think maybe not immigrant founder, but I think the business problem I'm trying to solve is a bit tricky.
But immigrant, because there is a crazy geopolitical situation right now.
Yeah, so in the US, funny enough, so because of the business, we have American customers.
It's in UK also.
We're based in the UK and we have India-based operations. I was like, I can fundraise from anyone in the US, UK, or India. So I pitched to VCs in all three countries, but I got no's for very different reasons. In the UK, I had this challenge of like having to explain to VCs like just South Asian family dynamics. So I'd have to spend 20 minutes describing the problem before I could even talk about the business and the traction. And sometimes you'd explain it and then you can just see it in their eye that they don't understand. So you give up. So I remember having I think I pitched someone in Germany, in Berlin, like was a partner at a fund. And I described Nila, I'm like, we help immigrants provide care for their elderly parents back home. Most immigrants understand immediately. With him, he was like, why don't the parents just go to the hospital themselves? I'm like, it's not really how it works. Like they're older, they need help, things are different. But then he's like, yeah, but in Germany, parents can do these things by themselves. And like, I kept trying to explain, but he just didn't understand. And I think that was a challenge I had. So I had to start picking which partner at a fund I should speak to. And I often targeted people who were immigrants or people who were...
I was about to say that.
I would target like people who did not live in that country. So even if they were at the UK fund, I was like, yeah, but this person went to school in like Europe, or this person went to school in like Asia, so they will understand it. So, and that's generally what happened.
I think that also shows that how many diverse VC partners are missing in the 150 VC list that you've got.
Yeah, like it's definitely missing, and you do see it, and it just makes it a bit harder to get there. Because at the end of the day, people resonate with people who are like them. So even if you're a founder and the founder and the VC looks different to you, you might not have the same connection as a VC who looks the same as you or has a similar background to yourself.
Do you think that you would need a US investor in the future?
I think so, because already most of our customers are American, and it's just going to continue. Like it's 70% of our revenue, and even as we grow, it's going to remain roughly 70% of revenue. So I think it naturally makes sense as we grow to bring on a US investor, because we are serving American immigrant customers.
So talking about your product again, do you want to focus more on B2B, other partnerships that you're doing with, I don't know, big fintech companies, banks, software giants?
So right now we've been growing B2C, and it's been very good for us to get like user insights, get feedback, and refine our offering. But it is like, it's hard to scale with B2C. So now we're exploring B2B2C. So finding partners that have the demographic of customers we want and trying to build a product for them so that the end user can still benefit from Nila. So what we're thinking is remittance companies are an interesting channel. Banks, so because we're targeting NRIs, a lot of banks in India have NRE, NRO bank accounts here, but like that's a very interesting distribution channel for us, and other elder care companies. So there's elder care employee benefit companies in the US and the UK that give elder care services to their employees, but they don't help the employees who are Indian or immigrant because their families are elsewhere. So those are partnerships that we're working on, and there's a couple of big ones that will probably come live in January that we'll probably announce later on.
Okay, there are new partnerships coming up. And also, are you planning to expand across? beyond India?
Yeah, so that is the plan. I mean, personal mission is to at least do this for my own family, which would be like, they're in a small town in Sri Lanka. But India is just such a big market. And I think that you can build $1 billion business in what we're doing just in India. But I think for the next 12 to 18 months, we'll double down on India, figure out the country playbook, and then do other South Asian countries before trying to do any other African countries. Because the challenge we have is it's such an operationally heavy business. The tech needs to be right to allow us to scale it.
So what about markets like Bangladesh and Philippines?
Yeah, so Philippines is interesting for us. So the way we looked at it is, the reason we picked India is like, it's the biggest immigrant population.
That's very organized as compared to...
Exactly, highest income ethnic group in the US. That's how we started. But if you look at the US and the income, it's usually, I think it's like Indian, then it's like Sri Lankan, Nigerian, Ghanaian. So those are the markets we would want to test with, because we want it to be people who can afford to pay for the service as well.
What are the biggest challenges right now in the space as an expert in the category? What do you think can be improved?
Yes, I think it's become a extremely crowded market. There's lots of remittance players popping up here and there. And the problem is there's no differentiation between them. So as a consumer, you just care about the money arriving at the best rate. So most people who send money will have at least 3 or 4 apps on their phone. And when they want to send money, they'll just see who has the best rate and go with them. So there's no brand loyalty. So a lot of the remittance companies, even though they've scaled, the one that's going to win is the one that's priced the best. So it ends up being a price war, like trying to outbid the next person. So I think that's where remittance companies are struggling. And a lot of them are trying to build separate products for the immigrant community to try and retain them. Some of them are trying to create, wallets to try and become like a Revolut, become a bank account. Others are trying to offer credit, because immigrants have a hard time building a credit score. So I think a lot of them are going to try and launch new products. I'm trying to package an elder care in there, but remittance by itself, it's become super competitive.
I also feel that interest rate is another thing that if I want to keep my money in a certain remittance software, then what kind of money?
Yeah, exactly. You'd much rather put it in a bank account where you actually get interest, or put it in stocks where you get it, whereas in a virtual wallet, it's just going to sit there by itself.
And also, what do you think about the adult healthcare segment and the category? Because that is another great category which you have already explored with Nila Cares. So what are the challenges over there, and what are the scope for opportunities to build on?
Yeah, I think the challenges there are, one, it's not been a space a lot of people have been building in. It's not, everyone's hyped up with these AI companies going to $10 million in revenue in 6 months. So everyone's trying to build, founders are trying to build in that space, and VCs are throwing money there. But I think elder care is one of those industries where it's not in a cycle. There's always going to be old people. People are getting older, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And there's just not enough founders building in that space. I think they don't find it to be sexy, that's the buzzword. But I think if more investors start putting money in that space, then naturally more founders will start to build there. Because if you look at it, there aren't that many. I think there's 2 unicorns in the elder care space, whereas if you look at AI, there's 20, 30, 40 in that space.
I'm wondering what China is doing for that category.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of founders struggle to build in China, but China is also a big market.
Of course, it's very difficult to get in there, but I'm sure China would have
same as any other elder care
products which are helping, because there's a huge Asian population which is there in the US as well.
Yeah, exactly.
In the West Coast, again, San Francisco is filled with Asian people.
Yeah, we, in our DMs for social media for the company, we get a lot of immigrants messaging us who are not Indian. So people who are Chinese, Sri Lankan, Bangladeshi, and they're like, oh, I love what you guys are doing. Hope you guys expand to this country, because I have parents here. So it's obviously validation that it's a global problem.
If you look at yourself 2 years or 3 years back now, what are the founder lessons you wish you would have known about?
The team matters. So who you pick to work with really affects how quickly you execute or how successful the business is. That would be one. Number two would be don't build anything. Most founders, the first thing they do is try and build a product. I think the first thing you should do is just speak to just speak to as many people as you can, and you might be surprised that your idea is actually something people don't care about, and that's enough validation and saves you a lot of time and money. And then the third one is, I would just say, stay sane. Surround yourself with people outside of the business that can support you. And just keep you grounded, because it's very easy to get completely worked up in the problem you're trying to solve.
Okay, stay sane. How many friends did you lose?
Way too many.
What is the worst thing that happened to you when you became a founder?
Oh, it's things like missing people's birthdays, but like not into, like you just completely forget. Like it's in your calendar, but it just gets merged with something else. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, oh wait, I was invited to this birthday. I RSVP'd yes, but I did not even say no, that I'm not going. So stuff like that happens. So you need to get better at those things.
I lost my whole social circle. Completely lost. No girls' night anymore.
It happens. Sacrifices, yes.
Sacrifices, yes. And team is something you mentioned. How big is your team right now?
We're 10, 11 people now.
Wow.
Mostly 6 in London, 4 India, 1 New York.
Oh, wow. Very diverse team then.
Yep, very diverse.
Amazing.
Team. Yeah.
And what are the challenges of having a very diverse team?
I think one, it's like there's different work cultures. Like India team has a very different work culture to the UK, and the UK has a very different work culture to the US. And it's trying to manage the expectations of everyone. Like it's not necessarily like some cultures, like you put in a lot of hours naturally. Some it's like you take vacation whenever you can. So it's trying to like set the expectation for everyone and just keeping them aligned on the same.
There's a Diwali holiday and then there's a Christmas holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Thanksgiving comes.
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Diwali, but it's like things celebrated in different countries. And you just have to keep everyone on the same boat.
I know. There are big challenges to have outsourced from different countries, because I have a very similar team.
Yeah.
I love my team, but it's so crazy. How much do you micromanage? Do you have to?
I'm not.
Sadly.
I'm personally not a micromanager. I hate being a micromanager.
I also hate it.
But sometimes I find myself doing it just to get people on track. But then once they're, in their lane and they know what they're doing, I tend to be like, I'll trust you to execute. And I think it's important to hire those type of people at an early stage startup that can execute on their own without like having too much hands-on.
Are you a sweet person or a very strict person as a founder?
I'm very straight. I'm very blunt. Sometimes it comes across as being rude or very direct. But I think, we don't have time.
I think I'm a very sweet person. I try to be straight and direct.
No, because I've had emails where like, I might not even say, oh, I hope you're well. I'll just get straight to the point, and I won't even say like, thank you, you're best at that. I'm like straight away, and some people it comes across the wrong way. And I'm like, we've been emailing each other back and forth for like 3 weeks. We don't have to say, I hope you're well every single time, So it's things like that, but some cultures appreciate it.
Oh
so.
yeah, I do that I do that after weekends. I just send a message directly without saying, hey, how was your weekend? Funny. A misconception about elder care.
I would say people thinking it's not a big business. So I think we're a business you can like scale with technology. So a lot of times when I was pitching, the first thing I would hear from investors is like, how do you scale this business? You can't scale to $1 billion. And then I would point them at like 3 companies. Sarah, UK, it's already $1 billion company. There's Papa Honor in the US that are $1 billion companies. So there's already 3 founders who've built unicorns in exactly what I'm trying to do for immigrants. It's Sarah in the UK, Papa and Honor in the US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's a big market. Everyone have parents.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just something that people are not attracted to because it's not like this. It's not in this AI buzz that we're in right now.
Yeah. How much is AI getting into Nila Care? Are you thinking about it?
Yeah, we're thinking about it, but for us, the way we see the business is AI is not going to replace the caregiver. I think we can use AI to make the life of a caregiver very easy and more manageable. But my view is that healthcare should always have humans who are enabled by AI, but never replaced by AI. If I, for some reason had to have a surgery, I don't want a Tesla robot doing my heart transplant. I'd rather have a medical doctor who's gone to med school, had 10 years of training, has intuition, that's maybe using AI tools to do the surgery, but I still want like a human to do it. And I think it's the same for elder care. You still want a physical human caregiver doing that, and just use AI co-pilots to help them with admin, paperwork, and things like that.
Yeah, I think the AI assistant will get knocked out from the grumpy elder
Yeah, exactly.
people, and especially with dementia.
Yeah,
Dementia is a
exactly.
big problem. The hardest decision that you've made so far?
I think hardest decision would be sometimes you need to make decisions on like your team structure and who needs to stay on the team and who needs to leave. And I think we've had to let go like some amazing people, not because the business was doing bad, but just simply because the skill set didn't match as the company grows.
Hiring is a big challenge.
So yeah, it's like hiring, firing, and I think that would be like the hardest part of building a startup.
Yeah, I think I take those decisions also very quickly. I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it helps them and you, right? You don't want.
Yeah, if someone doesn't understand what mission you're working on,
Yeah.
or what are the boundaries, then it just doesn't work out.
No, it doesn't.
The person can be very nice. So
They can be lovely
very
people,
good
but
friends.
just not the right person for the role.
So how can people find Nila and your journey? How can they reach you?
Yeah, I mean, we're very active on LinkedIn and social media. So Nila Cares is our handle for any company page. For me, my name's Anthony Jacob. All my handles are anthony.jacob.s. So they can follow along on our journey.
Amazing. Last question. What's your goal for 2026?
2026.
With the new funding.
Oh yeah, I think it would be to expand to as many cities as we can in India, and I think it would be to be in a position to start launching new countries by the end of 2026.
Best of luck for that.
Thank
you so much, Anthony, for your time. I think this was an amazing interview, and a lot of listeners at Tech Talks with TFN would love it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This is Akansha Timri signing off, and I'll come up with another episode in the new year. And this is our signing off. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.